I woke up in the body of the man I hated most, his hands, clenching around a loaded Beretta that wasn't meant for me. The mirror showed General Harlan's stern face staring back, but inside, I was Mila Voss, the loyal captain he'd framed for treason to cover his own war crimes. And as his aide knocked on the door, oblivious to the storm brewing in this stolen skin, I whispered the recruit's name, Tommy Hale, like a curse, because protecting him had cost me everything, and now I'd burn Harlan's empire to ash from within. It started with a lie I swallowed whole, back in the sweltering heat of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where the air always tasted like gun oil and regret. I was Captain Mila Voss, 32, with a chest full of ribbons I'd earned the hard way. 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Syria, pulling triggers and patching wounds in equal measure. The Army was my family, my anchor after Mom OD'd on fentanyl in a Detroit trailer park when I was 16, and Dad vanished into the ether of unpaid child support. I enlisted at 18, clawed my way up, became the kind of officer who didn't just lead but bled for her platoon. That's why Tommy Hale stuck with me like a bad habit. Tommy was fresh out of basic, 19, all gangly limbs and wide-eyed patriotism from some nowhere town in Idaho. Blonde buzz cut, freckles that made him look 12, and a laugh that cut through the barracks bullshit like sunlight. He was assigned to my recon unit in 23, right as tensions with the cartels were boiling over the border. We were running ops in the Sonoran Desert, ghosting through narco tunnels, sniping drones before they could spot our Humvees. Tommy idolized me, called me Cap, with that drawl, followed my orders like gospel. I saw myself in him, the kid version who dreamed of boots on foreign soil instead of dodging bill collectors. But the general, Brigadier Elias Harlan, silver fox with a southern drawl thicker than molasses and eyes like polished obsidian, had other plans. Harlan was brass through and through, a West Point legend who'd risen on the backs of grunts like us. He commanded the 82nd Airborne from Bragg, but his real game was black-budget deals, whispering in D.C. ears about privatized security firms that funneled cash to his offshore accounts. I didn't know that then. All I knew was he handpicked my unit for a special insertion south of the border, off books, no congressional oversight. Voss, he'd say in briefings, clapping my shoulder too hard, you're my sharpest blade. Don't dull it. The op went south faster than a greased pig at a county fair. We were tasked with extracting a DEA asset from a cartel safe house in Nogales, simple snatch and grab, or so the intel said. Tommy and I were point, slipping through storm drains that reeked of sewage and desperation. But as we breached the compound, the world exploded. RPGs lit up the night, screams in Spanish and English blending into chaos. Our exfil chopper was late, way late, and in the melee, Tommy took a round to the thigh, femoral artery nicked. He was bleeding out, gasping my name, and I did what any captain would, dragged him 2 blocks to a medevac LZ, radioing for dust-off while laying down suppressing fire that probably violated half a dozen ROEs. That's when the photo hit me later, back at base, in Harlan's office. I'd been summoned for a debrief, still stinking of cordite and cartel blood. His desk was a fortress of mahogany and secrets, sat maps, burner phones, a crystal decanter of bourbon that screamed old money. And there, framed in silver, was Tommy. Not some generic recruit shot, but a candid, him grinning in fatigues, arms slung around Harlan's neck like they were father and son. The date on the back. 6 months prior, at a family picnic, Harlan hosted for top brass. Tommy wasn't just some kid. He was Harlan's bastard nephew, smuggled into the unit under falsified records to toughen him up, without drawing nepotism heat. I confronted Harlan right there, voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel. Sir, why the hell was Hale embedded without disclosure? That could have gotten us all killed. He leaned back, swirling his drink, that smile like a snake oil salesman's. Captain Voss, wars aren't won on transparency. Tommy's blood's on the op, not my desk. But yours? Yours is on that report you're signing. He slid a folder across, fabricated logs pinning the botched exfil on me. Delayed RTB call, unauthorized fire, even a whisper of collateral, hits on civilians to cover cartel retaliation. It was treason-level shit, enough to bury me under Leavenworth's walls. I took the fall because I thought it was duty, protect the unit, shield the brass from scandal. Signed the confession, ate the court-martial, got dishonorably discharged with a black mark that killed any civilian gigs. Lived in a roach motel off I-95, scraping by on bar shifts in Fayetteville, watching my life unravel like a cheap parachute. Harlan? Promoted to Major General, Tommy got a Purple Heart and a cushy stateside posting. Betrayal doesn't get deeper than family secrets weaponized against the loyal. But the real twist, the one that shattered reality, came 6 months later, in a dive bar haze of neon and regret. I'd hit rock bottom, nursing a whiskey neat when a stranger slid onto the stool beside me. He was unremarkable, mid-40s, rumpled suit, eyes like he'd seen the abyss and bought it a drink. "Captain Voss," he said, no question mark, sliding me a business card etched with a single word, ether. "Heard you got screwed by the machine. Ever wonder if you could rewrite the code?" Ether Corporation wasn't on any org chart, shadow R&D, whispers of DARPA black projects, neural tech that danced on the edge of sci-fi. The stranger, Dr. Elias Crow, no relation to Harlan, thank God, pitched it like Absolution, a prototype neural swap, body-to-body consciousness transfer. "Not magic," he said, "quantum entanglement via nanites. Swap your mind into a vessel, live their life, extract payback. Experimental, sure. But for you? Pro bono." Harlan's a mark on my list too. His firm bankrolled our shutdown. I laughed it off at first, chalked it up to barfly delusion. But desperation's a hell of a drug, and when Crow showed me the lab, tucked in an abandoned warehouse off the Cape Fear River, humming with servers and cryopods, I signed the waiver in blood-red ink. The procedure was agony distilled, for drips of silver fire, electrodes spidering my skull, a VR hood that plunged me into void. Last thing I heard was Crow's voice. Sink in 5, 4. Then nothing. Waking up was violation incarnate. His body jerked upright in a penthouse suite overlooking DC's marble monuments, silk sheets tangling like accusations. The mirror in the ensuite bath showed Harlan's face, 61. Chiseled jaw gone soft, salt and pepper hair slicked back, eyes I'd once saluted now mine to command. I touched the stubble, felt the stranger's pulse thrum under alien skin, and retched into the porcelain. But beneath the nausea? Power. Harlan's power, access codes, black cards, a Rolodex of senators and CEOs that could topple dynasties. The swap was clean. My body, comatose in Crow's lab, tagged as Voss, deceased overdose. Harlan's consciousness? Dumped into mine, but Crow had rigged a neural firewall. Harlan thought he was still him, trapped in a clone for safeguard training. No, wait, that was the cover. Truth was, Harlan's mind was erased, overwritten with a blank slate AI proxy to keep his empire humming while I puppeteered the real deal. Crow called it ghosting. I called it poetic justice. First move, infiltrate. I strode into the Pentagon like I owned it because Harlan did, in all but name. Aides snapped to attention. "General," echoing like applause for a corpse. I buried the urge to bolt, focused on the script. Schedule a secure briefing with Harlan's inner circle. But revenge isn't a sprint. It's a siege. I started small, leaks to anonymous tip lines, planting doubts about Harlan's lapses in border ops. A journalist from the Post got wind, ran a piece on ghost soldiers in private militias. Harlan's stocks dipped. Donors whispered. Tommy was the key, though. I tracked him to Quantico, playing desk jockey in Intel. Confronted him in a coffee clutch haze, Harlan's voice booming. "Nephew, we need to talk family business." His face paled, freckles stark against the tan, when I dropped the photobomb. "You knew, didn't you? About the frame job on Voss. She took the hit for your uncle's screw-up." Tommy stammered, eyes darting like a cornered fox. "Got. Uncle Eli said it was necessary. The asset was dirty, the cartel had moles." Lies. All of it. Harlan had sold the DEA guy out for a cartel payoff, staged the raid as a win to justify more funding. Tommy? Complicit, feeding falsified reports to cover the blood money trail. I could have ended him there. Harlan's sidearm itched in the holster, but controversy brews in the gray. Instead, I recruited him. Twisted the knife. Join me, kid. Expose the rot or rot with it. He folded like wet cardboard, spilling docs on Harlan's slush funds, offshore shells in the Caymans. We fed it to WikiLeaks in drips, enough to spark congressional hearings without fingering us. The media frenzy hit like a monsoon. General Harlan, patriot or profiteer. Protests outside the White House, vets in wheelchairs chanting my, Harlan's, name for transparency. But Harlan's ghost fought back. The proxy AI glitched, mimicking his paranoia. Anonymous threats to Tommy, accidental leaks framing me, in Harlan's body, as unstable. I felt it in the mirror, that foreign reflection mocking me. Nights blurred into bourbon benders in Georgetown brownstones, whispering to shadows. Who am I now? Mila or monster? Crow checked in via encrypted line. The swap's degrading, 6 months max before neural cascade. Finish it, or you're both vegetables. The decisions got uglier. To draw out Harlan's fixer, a lobbyist named Reyes, the cartel whisperer, I greenlit a false flag op, staged a leak of my own confession, baiting him into a meet at a Beltway strip club. Reyes showed, greased with coke and confidence. I cornered him in the VIP lounge, Harlan's bulk pinning him against velvet. Tell me everything, or I whisper your Panama Papers to the FEC. He laughed, then didn't, when I pressed the Beretta to his temple. Controversial? Hell yes. I pulled the trigger, not fatally, just a graze to the ear, blood blooming like a rose on his Armani. Next one's the family jewels. He sang. Wire transfers, shell companies, even a hit list with Tommy's name scratched off last minute. Darkness crept in after. Sleepless in Andrew's AFB quarters, I'd traced the dog tags under Harlan's shirt. Mine, from the swap, a talisman against the madness. Betrayal echoed, not just Harlan's, but my own. I'd become him, ruthless, corners cut like flesh. Tommy noticed, pulling away. Uncle, this ain't you. Voss wouldn't, I snapped, shoving him against the Humvee. Voss is dead, kid. Because of you. The lie burned, but lies were currency now. Climax brewed in the Rose Garden, DC spring cherry blossoms mocking the tension. Harlan's retirement gala, cover for a shadow summit with defense hawks and foreign buyers. I crashed it as host, suit tailored sharp, speech prepped to eviscerate. Cameras rolled as I took the podium. Harlan's heart, pounding like artillery. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we honor service. But true honor? Exposing the cowards who profit from it. Slides flickered. Bank statements, emails, Tommy's testimony in voiceover. Gasps rippled. A senator choked on caviar. Harlan's allies surged, Secret Service twitching for tasers, but I held, voice steel. Elias Harlan, confess. The Nogales op was a sham. Voss took my fall. And Tommy Hale? My blood, my shame. The crowd fractured. Applause from left, jeers from right. Controversy incarnate. Was this redemption or suicide? As feds swarmed, cuffing aides, I locked eyes with Tommy across the lawn. He nodded, tears streaking, absolution or goodbye. Then the twist, the reversal that gutted me like shrapnel. Crow called mid-chaos, voice crackling. Voss, abort. The swap logs. Harlan wasn't overwritten. He knew. Engineered the whole thing. Ether was his front, testing neural weapons on volunteers like you. Tommy? Bait. You're in his body, but he's been riding shotgun in yours, puppeteering from the motel shadows. The world tilted. Flashes. The overdose body wasn't comatose, it was Harlan, playing possum, leaking counterintel through my ghosted shell. Every move I'd made, his script, the leaks, the gala, all to flush rivals, consolidate power under a reformed facade. Tommy's betrayal cut deepest. Cap, he made me. Said it'd save the family legacy. I lunged for him in the scrum, fists flying, but agents piled on, zip ties biting Harlan's wrists. They hauled me to a black-site hole under Langley, Harlan's empire crumbling in headlines. General's double life. Swap scandal rocks Pentagon. But in the dim cell, staring at hands that weren't mine, truth inverted. I'd avenged nothing. Become the monster I slew. Crow? Vanished, probably Harlan's next vessel. Ending? Debatable as hell. They say justice prevailed. Hearings gutted the machine, vets got pardons. But me? Extradited to a psych ward in Bethesda, neural decay turning days to fog. Sometimes I wake screaming Mila's name, feeling her ghost stir. Was it triumph, trading my soul for the light? Or tragedy, birthing a hydra from vengeance? You decide. The mirror lies, but the scars don't. Lockup in Bethesda was a symphony of fluorescent buzz and muffled screams, the kind of place where hope checked in but never checked out. They called it Ward 7, high security for the cognitively compromised, code for spooks who'd seen too much or, in my case, lived two lives in one skull. Harlan's body was failing fast, migraines like cluster bombs, phantom itches where Mila's tattoos should have been. Docs poked and prodded, muttering about exotic neural trauma, but I knew better. It was the swap unspooling, threads of self fraying like old 550 cord. I replayed the gallow in loops, that cherry blossom betrayal. Tommy's nod, pity or plot. Harlan's laugh echoing from my old lips, puppeteering the chaos I'd sown. The hearings raged on TV in the rec room, a parade of starched uniforms and sound bites. Senators grilled under Klieg lights. General Voss, Harlan, your testimony suggests a conspiracy of unprecedented scope. My proxy self, Harlan in Mila's skin, stonewalled with that drawl. Classified, Senator. National security. Bullshit. All theater to bury the real dirt. Revenge's aftertaste is bile, but I wasn't done. Not yet. Slipped a nurse a 20. Harlan's black card perks lingered, and scored a contraband burner. First call, an old platoon buddy, Sergeant Reyes, no relation to the lobbyist, now slinging security in Raleigh. Gop. Thought you were ghosted. I growled Harlan's timbre. Not dead yet, Reyes. Need eyes on Tommy Hale. Quantico's got leaks. He owed me, saved his ass in Fallujah, so he dug. 48 hours later. Cords for a dive motel off Route 1. Tommy holed up with a go bag and a Glock. Breaking out was child's play for a ghost. Faked a seizure. Harlan's war wounds gave authenticity. Charmed the guard with brass bluster. Slipped into D.C. traffic at dawn. Harlan's stolen staff car eating miles like regret. The motel was pure Americana decay. Flickering vacancy sign. Parking lot littered with crushed PBR cans. Tommy's room smelled of stale takeout and fear when I kicked the door. Old habits. He spun, pistol half raised, eyes bugging at Uncle Eli's face. You, he spat, finger whitening on the trigger. I didn't flinch. Lower it, kid. Or shoot and explain to the feds why you're capping a 4-star. He wavered, gun dipping, and I lunged, wrenching it free. Pinned him to the sagging bed, knee in his gut. Talk. The swap. Harlan's endgame. Why me? Tommy wheezed, freckles lost in sweat. Legacy. Cap Uncle's building an empire. Neural tech for the next war. Immortality for the elite. You were the test mule. Loyal, disposable. I fed him your doubts, after the discharge. Said you'd bite on ether. Betrayal's second wave hit like deja vu. Tommy, the kid I'd dragged through hell, Harlan's Judas in recruit's clothing. And Crow. I pressed, fist bunching his collar. His pawn. Ex-DARPA. Burned for ethics. Harlan bought him out, promised a cut of the patents. I backhanded him. Not hard, controversial enough without murder rap, and he crumpled, sobbing. I'm sorry, Cap. He said it'd make me a man.
Voss. Mila.
You were the only one who ever did. I left him curled there, gun on the nightstand. A mercy or a noose. Drove south, Harlan's mind fracturing. Visions of Mila's Detroit childhood bleeding into his West Point drills. Stopped at a Waffle House in Roanoke, scarfing hash browns scattered, well, under sodium lamps. Locals eyed the suit, out of place amid truckers and tweakers, but I blended, spinning yarns about government bullshit over coffee refills. American as apple pie and paranoia. Next target, the money trail. Harlan's came in vaults. Reyes the lobbyist had cracked one before the year shot. I hit a cyber cafe in Charlotte, VPN layered like onion skin, hacking with Harlan's memorized codes. Transfers flowed, millions to ether shells, laundered through Miami real estate.
But deeper?
A file buried in encrypted folders, Project Echo, the swaps blueprint. Harlan wasn't just profiting, he was creating. Dozens of volunteers, vets, dissidents, shuffled into bodies of power brokers, their originals suicided.
Me?
Prototype success, meant to ghost a senator next. Rage boiled, but decisions darkened. I could have torched it all, EMP the servers, watch the empire flatline. Instead, I siphoned funds, 10 mil to vet charities, anonymous drops to Mila's old unit widows. Controversial? Stealing from thieves to feed the forgotten, Robin Hood with a body count.
Fait très triple, headline shifting. Harlan scandale deepens, missing million?
Tommy vanished, suicide note or skip. Fueling the fire. Crows surfaced in New Orleans, Voodoo City fitting for soul thieves. Bourbon Street pulsed with jazz and tourists as I tailed him to a quarter townhouse, shotgun facade hiding lab guts. He answered the door casual. Bowtie askew. Voss? Or should I say, General? The cascades hitting hard at. I shoved inside, Beretta kissing his forehead. End it. Reverse the swap, or I paint this fresco red. He chuckled, pouring absinthe. Can't, darling. One-way ticket. Nanites dissolve the bridge. Harlan designed it that way. No takebacks for loose ends. We dueled words over green fairy drips. He spilled the rot. Harlan's cabal, a shadow cabinet of immortals, swapping into youth to rule eternal.
Tommy?
Designated heir, body prepped for Crow's mind. You were the wrench, Mila. Too pure. Fought the overwrite. Kept your core intact. The revelation twisted. I wasn't puppet. I was parasite. Harlan's consciousness fragmented. Echoes haunting my dreams. Fight it. Crow urged. Eyes fever bright. Use his body to gut them. Expose the patents. Burn the labs. But trust? Shattered glass. I zip-tied him. Torched the hard drives. Flames licking voodoo dolls of silicone. And slipped into the night. Nola's humid breath on my neck. Tension coiled tighter crossing state lines. Paranoia Harlan's gift. Billboards screamed support our troops while drones buzzed overhead. Watching? Radio crackled news. Congressional subpoena for Harlan/Voss. Psych eval pending. I holed up in a Smoky Mountain cabin, Harlan's bolt hole stocked with MREs and morphine. Nights I'd hike trails slick with pine resin, whispering to ghosts. Mom's lullabies, platoon chants. Self-blurred, Mila's grit in Harlan's guile. Twist's shadow loomed in a Knoxville payphone call to an old flame, Lieutenant Sarah Klein, now FBI profiler. Eli? Rumors say you're cracking. I confessed fragments, swap, betrayal, voice breaking on Tommy's name. She paused, breath hitching. Mila? God, it's you. I've been tracking anomalies, your suicide body moved, black site whispers. Ally or trap? Controversial choice. Wire her the echo files. Full exposure. Burn it down, Sarah. For the kid I couldn't save.
She did.
Dawn raids hit ether fronts coast to coast. Feds in tack gear storming warehouses. Headlines exploded. Neural nightmare. Pentagon's body swap horror. Harlan's cabal scattered. Senators resigning. CEOs suiciding. Real this time.
Me?
Cornered in the cabin. Choppers thumping like judgment. Burst out firing. Suppressive bursts into the canopy, wounding none, just buying breath. Sarah's voice on bullhorn. Mila, stand down. We know it's over. Surrender or suicide. I dropped the empty mag. Hands up, Harlan's frame crumpling to leaf mold. Cuffed in the hello, her eyes met mine. Pity, pride. You did it, Cap Tommy. He turned states. Testified before vanishing. But over? Hell no. The reversal deepened in Quantico holding. interrogators peeling layers. Harlan's mind surged, fragments rebelling. Visions of his youth, point cadences overriding Mila's grit. Docs confirmed. Dual consciousness. A war in the wetware. Therapy sessions devolved to screams, me clawing at restraints. Get him out. Endings debate raged in appeals. Hero or hazard. Pardons floated. Vet lobbies roaring for Voss's vindication. Sarah visited, smuggling burgers. Fight Mila. Reverse text greenlit. Crow's notes survived. Hope flickered, fragile as firefly glow. Yet in mirrors, Harlan leered. Was redemption mine, or his illusion? The line blurred, vengeance's price eternal. You tell me, victory or void. Quantico's bowels were concrete catacombs, echo chambers for confessions that never saw light. They parked me in solitary adjacent, glass-walled cell, shrinks pacing like zookeepers, monitoring the Harlan anomaly. Days bled into fluorescent eternals, Harlan's echoes clawing for control, his memories surfacing like oil slicks. Boyhood fox hunts in Georgia Lowcountry, first kill in Grenada, the thrill of power's first taste. I'd wake thrashing, tasting bourbon on a tongue that wasn't mine, whispering, Mila, hold the line. Sarah's visits were lifelines, smuggled in contraband care packages, contraband paperbacks, Grisham for the irony, black market coffee, and whispers of the outside war. The hearings had metastasized, prime-time circus, C-SPAN gold. Is Project Echo the future of warfare? Thundered a Texas rep. Or Frankenstein's folly? Witnesses paraded. Tommy, clean-shaven in witness protection fatigues, voice cracking on the stand. Captain Voss saved me, twice. Uncle Eli. He twisted loyalty into chains. The kid redeemed? Or rehearsed? Sarah swore it was real. Tommy'd flipped post-motel, handed feds the cabal's roster. But Harlan's ghost sneered in my skull. Boy's mine, Voss. Blood calls. Controversial nights. I'd journal on smuggled napkins, pen scratching like nails on chalkboard, pouring Mila's truth to anchor me. Entries devolved. Day 47. Saw Mom in the mirror, but it was Harlan's mom, pearls choking her neck. Who dies when we do? Shrinks dosed me with Haldol cocktails, damping the static. But dreams? Vivid as VR. Reliving Nogales, Tommy's blood hot on my hands, Harlan's voice overlay. Necessary losses, Captain. For the greater game. Escape plotted in fevered scrawls. The cabal wasn't dead. Amputated limbs, sure, but the heart pumped from shadows. Intel from Sarah, a remnant cell in Silicon Valley, hoarding echo prototypes, prepping swaps for oligarchs fleeing indictments. Leader? Crow, risen like Lazarus, bankrolled by Russian dark money. They're targeting you, she murmured through plexi, eyes shadowed. Reclaim Harlan's shell, your body, for a clean kill. My body, comatose in a Nevada black site, Harlan's mind leashed by drugs, waiting like a virus in amber. Decision time, the ugly kind that scars souls. Sign off on a therapeutic transfer? Feds pitched it as mercy. Reverse the swap under guard. Testify as Mila Voss. Dismantle the network. But risk? Harlan's consciousness could hijack mid-procedure, turn me into meat puppet. Or worse, merge us, a Hydra hybrid ruling from the grave. I greenlit it anyway. Controversial as confessing to kinslaying because stagnation was death. Do it, I rasped to the lead shrink, Dr. Patel, her sorry a splash of color in gray hell. Before he eats me alive. Transfer day dawned under Nevada sun, AC, 1:30 rumbling me west in cuffs and sedation fog. Creech AFB airstrip shimmered like mirage, black SUVs convoying to a bunker lab, DARPA's bastard child, walls humming with quantum hum. Crow was there, shackled to a gurney, smirking through bruises. Back for round 2, General? Or should I say, Captain? Feds had nabbed him in a Sausalito raid, absinthe bottles shattering like dreams. I spat Harlan's phlegm. Endgame, documents swap us back, me into Voss, you into oblivion. The rig was Harlan's nightmare inverted. Cryopods side by side, nanite IVs threading veins like spider silk. Monitors beeped a dirge as they synced us. My current shell, Harlan's, to the comatose Mila body, Crow's to a scrub tech stoner for interrogation. Agony revisited. Fire in synapses, reality rending like wet paper.
Voices overlap. Harlan Bellowin no.
My throne. Then silence, void swallowing all. Waking was rebirth brutal. Eyes fluttered to sterile white. My eyes, Mila's, staring up at masked faces. Hands flexed, calloused palms, dog tags cool against collarbone. Voss. Patel's voice, tentative. I croaked affirmation, throat raw with disuse. But victory? Tainted. Harlan's echo lingered, a whisper in a limbic. We'll dance again, girl. Crow? Fried neural overload, brain pan cooked like overclocked silicon. No loose ends, but the scar itched. Rehab was purgatory. PT sessions relearning my stride. Mirrors avoided lest Harlan's glare reflect back. Sarah sprung me to a safe house in Shenandoah Valley, cabin redux, but with apple pie from her mom and no ghosts yet. News cycled triumphs, cabal arrests, Echo patent shredded, Tommy awarded Medal of Honor in absentia. You did good, Cap, she said over porch swings, fireflies winking. Intimacy sparked, hands brushing, her laugh thawing the ice. But trust? Fractured. Was she Harlan's plant or my anchor? Tension rebuilt on a tip. Remnant Echo tech smuggled to a Baja cartel, Harlan's old pals fencing immortality to narcos. Tommy surfaced in the chatter. Deep cover, infiltrating as reformed nephew. Pull him out or let him burn. Controversial calculus. Send Sarah's team, risk exposure. Go solo, risk relapse. I chose the shadows, Mila's body humming with reclaimed fire. Slipped south in a rust bucket Chevy, border crossing greased with vet creds and a fake limp. Baja was Harlan's ghost land. Tequila sunrises masking blood debts, cantinas pulsing with corridos of fallen capos. Tracked the lab to a cliffside villa near Todos Santos, white stucco fortress, guards toting AKs like extensions. Infiltrated at dusk, ghosting through agave fields, heart pounding Mila's rhythm. Inside were observers, pods glowing like fireflies in jars. And there, Tommy, strapped to a rig, Crow's successor prepping the swap, his mind into a narco-don shell. I moved like smoke, suppressed Sig whispering 2 guards to sleep, freeing him mid-procedure. Cap, he gasped, tubes snaking his arms. No time for reunions. Alarms wailed as we bolted, cartel hitters swarming. Gunfire stitched the night, bullets chipping adobe. Tommy covered me, irony's bite, as I laid suppressing fire, dropping 3 with Mila's precision. Exfil was a stolen Jeep careening coastal roads, Pacific crashing below like applause. Back stateside, debrief in a Tucson motel, Tommy spilling the remnants' guts, Harlan's final play, a legacy upload to cloud servers, digital immortality for the damned. He knew you'd come back, Tommy admitted, eyes hollow. Said you were his best creation. Vengeance made flesh. Betrayal's 3rd act, Tommy'd volunteered, bait to lure me and the line. But mid-confession, he handed a drive. Kill codes for the cloud. End it, Cap. For real. I did. In a Flagstaff internet dive, fingers flying over keys, Harlan's codes merging with Mila's grit. Upload purged, digital pyre consuming echoes. His last whisper? Well played, Voss. But blood's thicker. Silence followed, profound as grave dirt. Climax echoed in D.C. victory lap, congressional medal ceremony, brass bands, and backslaps. I stood tall in dress blues, Tommy at my flank. Pardoned, promoted. Sarah's hand in mine under the table. Promise of normalcy. But as flashbulbs popped, Harlan's ghost stirred faint. A twitch in the mirror backstage. Erased? Or dormant? The reversal hit post-ceremony. Leaked memo. Buried in FOIA dumps, Harlan was the loyalist. I'd been the mark. Ether a Fed sting, swap faked to expose me as the leaker, framed for Harlan's fabricated crimes. No, wait, truth inverted again. Tommy confessed in a bar post-metal haze. Cap, it was all theater. Uncle's clean. You were the rogue, selling ops for cash. The swap, hypnosis and actors. Woke up you to play the hero, take the fall. World inverted. My body, my life, staged? But the scars?
Real.
The pull to Sarah?
Genuine.
Or was it? Debate raged internal. Unravel, or embrace the lie. Ending teetered. I walked into the Potomac dawn, tags jingling, Harlan's whisper fading. Happy? Tragic? The American dream. Reinvent or rot. Your call. Dawn on the Potomac was a watercolor smear. Hazy pinks bleeding into the monument's marble, a jogger's path crunching under my boots like fragile bones. Tommy's confession hung heavy, a noose of narrative twist that strangled certainty. Theater. Heat slurred over dive bar IPAs, breath reeking of regret and relief. Uncle scripted it all, your betrayal, the frame, even the swap. DARPA psyop to flush real moles. You were the patsy, Cap, but the hero twist sold it. Lies upon lies, but his eyes, those freckled Idaho blues, didn't flinch. Harlan vanished into retirement, fishing the Gulf, a ghost who'd played God. I didn't shoot him. Controversial mercy. Handed him the tab, walked into the mall's hush, Lincoln's gaze impassive overhead. Sarah waited in the tidal basin, paddleboat idling like a relic. Heard, she said, no preamble, handing me a thermos of Diner Joe. Tommy's debriefing. Full immunity. Says you're clear, Mila. Clean slate. Her profilers read. Truth, laced with pity. We boated in silence, cherry petals dusting the wake, her hand finding mine, warm, anchoring. But trust? A minefield now. Was she script too? The swap's phantom ache whispered yes. Re-entry was jagged. DC bureaucracy grinding gears to reinstate me. Back pay? Honors. A captaincy in cyber ops? Irony's crown. Apartment in Arlington. Sterile one bed. IKEA ghosts. View of Reagan Airport jets screaming assent. Nichts, ide passalinuleum, raplain reus, nugalas firaflias, arlans da cantegling, crows absinta green. Real or real? The docs swore no nanites, no physical swap, just trauma-induced dissociation, Harlan's possession, a manic episode from discharge stress. Classic PTSD fusion. Patel cooed in telehealth, prescribing SSRIs like candy. But the memories? Too visceral. Harlan's Granada killshot vivid as yesterday's range. Decisions darkened domestic. Sarah pushed normalcy. Weekends in Shenandoah, grilling burgers, her laugh cutting tension like a K-bar. Intimacy bloomed tentative. Tangled sheets, her fingers tracing my tattoos. Semper Fi. Faded from phantom ink. You're back, she'd murmur. But I'd wake sweating, Harlan's drawl on my lips, mine now Voss. Controversial nights. Ghosted her texts, hit bars solo. Charming vets for war stories that echoed mine. One, a grizzled E7 from Nam, clapped my shoulder. Kid, revenge is a dog that bites its tail. Let it go. But the tail bit hard. Tommy reappeared. Uninvited lunch at a Pentagon food court. Tray of slop between us. Cap closure, he insisted. Fork spearing mystery meat. Uncle's dying. Pancreatic, quiet. Wants to see you. No strings. Trap or truce. I went. Harlan's Virginia estate a antebellum husk. Columns sagging like regrets. Spanish moss-veiling sins. He waited on the veranda. Oxygen mask hissing. Frame shrunk to bones. Eyes met, his milky. Mine, steel. Voss, he wheezed, no title. The play. You sold it better than I wrote. Confession cascaded. No swap, no cabal, just a deep state drill to test loyalty amid leaks. I'd been flagged post-Nogales, suspect in anomalous reports. Harlan framed himself through me, staged the fall to draw fire. Tommy? Actor in blood, feeding lines to provoke. You took the bait, Captain. Protected the kid. Confessed to ghosts. Hero's arc, exposed the fakes. Reversal's razor. I was the villain in my own tale. Paranoia weaponized against shadows that weren't there. Betrayal? Self-inflicted. Loyalty's blindfold. I laughed. Raw, tearing, spilling bourbon from his decanter. And Crow? The labs. Puppets. All. Actors, green screens, leaks scripted for headlines. Echo? DARPA vaporware, Cybate for rivals. Harlan grinned, mask fogging. You burned brighter than I dreamed, Mila. Finish it, testify true, bury the op. Or. The or hung. Expose the frame, topple the machine that birthed it. Controversial fork. Uphold the lie for security. Or shatter it for truth, risking anarchy.
It shows fire.
Drove to Sarah's that night. Files dumped. Harlan's deathbed dictate. Tommy's addendums. It's all fake. I choked, her arms folding me in. The vengeance, the swap, my madness. She held tighter. No, Mila. Real as us. You fought shadows, won the light. We burned the drive in a backyard pit, flames devouring code like absolution. Climax crested in the hearing's echo, my testimony, sanitized, PTSD recovery, valor reaffirmed. Medals pinned anew, crowds cheering a prodigal's return. Tommy saluted from the wings, off to black ops obscurity. Harlan slipped away midsummer, obit bland, patriot, family man. No scandal, just whispers. But the twist lingered, reversal's afterburn. Months on, in a Quantico range, sighting irons, Harlan's voice ghosted faint. Well done, puppet. Hallucination? Or seed planted deep? Sarah proposed over crab cakes in Annapolis, ring glinting like promise. Build real, Mila. No scripts.
Ending?
Debatable dawn. I said yes, but mirrors mocked, whose eyes stared back. Happy, love's harbor, scars as stories. Tragic, eternal doubt, vengeance's echo chamber. America thrives on reinvention, vet to wife, ghost to flesh. Blood's thicker than ink, but truth? Fluid as Potomac tides. What's your verdict, closure, or the con continues?